Annyeonghaseyo! Welcome to Afternoona Delight. We're Leah, Megan, and Amy, romance novelists and your K-romance guides. So grab some dekboki and listen to your new favorite unnies.
Hi everyone!
Hi everyone!
Right, so you might not be able to tell. We are neither Megan, Leah, or Amy, so none of the news are here, but instead we have a sister pod mashup.
We
So
do.
I'm Sarah from Afternoona As, and we have
Megan
from Afternoona Army.
Woo!
I
This is
slightly
so
feel
exciting.
Anyway, yeah, this is really exciting. I feel like slightly like the adults have gone for the weekend and we're like in charge, but we promised not to trash the place. But we're actually going to do a proper deep dive of a drama, and I'm really excited to be here with Megan for our first ever podcast together. And we've chatted on Instagram, but we've not actually met in real life, obviously, because that's like not another thing we do. Yeah, one day. I'm gonna head out.
One day. Because if they come, I will tell you right now, BTS come back, they're going to be in the UK. We're going to come see you. We're going to drag you to the show. Okay. It's happening. So we're just manifesting. We've already said we're going to multiple cities. So we'll figure that out.
Awesome. Army on tour. I'm so for that. I'm so up for that. In fact, I was thinking it was really good that you guys, because I'm not properly army, but I was thinking you guys would always alert me, if one of them decided to do, the next person who tours solo or something, if they finally come to Europe, you guys would be like, hey, it's happening.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, how do I get tickets?
Yeah.
That would be fun. That would be really fun.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so this is our first pod together, and we're here to do a deep dive on a Netflix 2023 drama, The Good Bad Mother. We didn't think the Nooners would get around to deep diving this, so we thought we'd take it on, and we thought it was a drama that's really worth discussing. We thought that before, but then we put the script together, and I'm like, wow, yeah, there's all these things I've forgotten that happens in it. We think it's worth discussing because of the way the topics were tackled. There's a lot in the drama; they pack in a lot, and it kind of divided opinions, right? As we were watching it, I think we both found that. So we hope you enjoy the pod as well. So you watched it dropping live like I did, right?
Yeah. So I did watch it drop as it dropped, which is a new thing for me because I started watching K-dramas in the pandemic, and in 2021 I binged so many K-dramas it was embarrassing. If I told people that, I don't even know what the number is. I think I wrote it down at one point, and then it was something it had to be over 50, right? Wow. Which means it's that's at least one. I mean, it could have been even more than that because it was almost 2 a week I was binging. And then it was there was someone on Etsy that had created these flyers almost that you could frame. And it was if you watch this drama, this is how many hours you spent watching this drama. And I was I'm so embarrassed. I could never find those in my house. And so I made a deal with myself that as I went forward, I had to watch them as they dropped. So in the since last year, almost every drama I watched was as it dropped or it had just wrapped. And then while I waited for the drama to come, if it was a Wednesday, Thursday drop or a Thursday, Friday drop, I could watch other dramas, but it was limited. I couldn't just, which I kind of broke that these last couple of weeks of the summer, but I mean, that's neither here nor there. But anyway, I did. I watched it as it dropped, and I watched it because, there's a lot of reasons why I watched it, but before we get into that, this drama was billed, I looked it up on Google, and it's billed as family slice of life comedy, which is sort of the truth. But there is some big suspense, big trigger warning violence. So I'm going to read the synopsis. I pulled this off of Google, I believe. No, Drama Beans. I pulled this off Drama Beans. Young Soon is a single mother and a pig farmer who raised her son, Kang Ho, alone. Despite her love for him, her strict parenting caused Kang Ho to view her as a bad mother. As an adult, Kang Ho becomes a cold-hearted prostitute and kept his distance from his mother. However, an unexpected accident caused him to return to his hometown and start over with Young Soon. Kang Ho's childhood friend, Miju, known for her warm heart and strong sense of justice, also reconnected with him after his accident, leading to a transformative experience for her. And I feel like this synopsis is 100% misleading. And let me tell you why. These are things that are also happening in this drama. A shady political candidate, a mafia turned businessman who still has homicidal tendencies, murder, attempted murder, a village full of wacky, lovable locals rounding out a stellar ensemble cast, a heartbreaking tale of love and loss and second chances, and family drama and abuse that is like super triggering. And we have like one hell of a drama. So like, as I was going through, I was like, wait a minute. This is not, you know, this is not what I felt like I was sold in the preview, but you know, whatever. So tell me why you watched it, and then I'll tell you what got me.
Yeah. I mean,
besides great synopsis.
Yeah. I mean, you're so right, because also this is just only 14 episodes, right? For those who haven't watched it, it's actually only a 14 episoder, and they pack a lot in. But so for me, I'm mainly the cast sold me on this. Like, I'm a massive Lee Doh Hyun fan. And my first drama of his, I think, he was actually a secondary role in Hotel Del Luna. Have you seen that drama? I know. So I'm not going to give away too much, but IU plays the female lead. She's like a kick-ass female lead, by the way. So I think I've kind of mixed on the drama, but it's worth watching just for her. Anyway, so she has a backstory, and he is part of her backstory, and they just totally stole the show for me. They have so much chemistry. I really think they should be in a proper drama to like themselves. And then I also love Rami Ran. I mean, who doesn't, right? So I think she may be my favorite thing in Reply 1988. It's either her or her son, because I'm Team Jung forever.
So am I. We've talked about
yeah,
this. So am I.
And then An Yoon Jin, who was my favorite Choo Choo in Hospital Playlist. So those three sold it for me anyway. And I was just like, I was also happy that it was going to be a drama that centered on like the mother character. Because I'm all up for dramas where the mature character is the lead. And then we really spoiled for cast, because then we had my favorite cinnamon roll from Alchemy of Souls, Tangu. So Yoo Soo is in this too. So I really didn't actually know much about the drama. I was like, oh, it's about like a mother-son thing, and it's got this amazing cast. I'm sold. I just started it. What about you?
Yeah, same. Like, I love Rami Ran. Like, as a mom in Hospital Playlist, like, I mean, not Hospital Playlist, excuse me, Reply 88. Reply 88 is like probably my number one drama. I mean, my top three like shift, but like I will watch Hospital Playlist anytime, any place. I will talk about it anytime, any place. I love it still to this day. I think I've seen it all the way through like at least 4 times.
So, sorry, you mean Reply 1988? Because you said Hospital Playlist again.
Yeah, Reply. Sorry. Reply 88.
Yeah.
I've seen Hospital Playlist too, but Reply 88 I've seen at least 4 times all the way through, and that's like a 22 episode drama. So that's commitment. I love it. Yeah, I love it so much, and she just was so great as a mom. So I was like, oh, she's going to be a mom again. Yeah. That's great. Like, I can't wait. She was a different kind of mom, but that's okay. And then I had just wrapped The Glory like recently when this started to drop, and Lee Doh Hyun, hope I'm saying his name right, was so great in The Glory. Like, he just was like, I don't know, like he went from cinnamon roll to like cold-hearted killer in some scenes, and I was just like, you are really interesting. Like, I need to see more of what you're in. And then of course Choo Choo is the best crier, one of the best criers in K-drama.
She
like honestly, her and Namdo-san from the startup are like my top criers.
Are they?
Like in the in like K-drama realm, they just cry really good. They have like just this real cry. Her cry is more of like almost like how a child would cry, but it's so endearing. Like, I just love her. I really do. I just love her. So at that point I was like, okay, I'm in. But I also was like, oh, this seems interesting. Like, the Netflix previews were very much like, this is the relationship between mother and son. There's an accident. He has, he loses his memories, and now they're going to go forward and like patch things up. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so sweet. I feel like it was sold as like an Our Blues.
Yes.
And it's not.
No.
It's it's not, and we'll get to that because like no spoilers, but
Yeah.
like we'll get to that. So we will start the same way as most deep dives with a non-spoiler section, and that's what we're going to do right now. So Sarah, do you feel that the original synopsis I read was fair, or do you feel like they left out a big plot point?
So Megan wrote this question. I was like, oh no, what? I felt like I was gonna might get the answer wrong because I was like, which plot point do you think she's? Because there's quite a few things that they were missing. I think for me, it's really interesting actually because I think the political intrigue and the corruption that's the heart of this is, you know, it's kind of the mystery that threads all the way through the drama. And I think for me, it's kind of weird because this part of it for me was really, really super strong. And I feel like the writers, when they're writing this, were really sure-footed about the way they created the shady characters, about how the corruption was. And it's almost like that's kind of their normal wheelhouse, but then they wanted to make this drama about this mother-son relationship, which they're kind of less sure-footed on. It's kind of odd. Anyway, so they do that, and then we have these two veteran actors. And those who are, let's to round it out, the triumphant of these dramas, the Prison Playbook fans will enjoy seeing them together because we have Choi Moo-sung, who played Tech's dad in Reply in 1988, and also Prisoner in Prison Playbook, and Jung Won-in, who played the prison officer with the hidden heart of gold. And they're brilliant. Like I just love them anyway, separately, and then together on the scene, they just had some really like great two-handers where they really go at each other, and I just love seeing them squaring off to each other in this way. And I think for me, the whole storyline kept me guessing right to the end. So it was one of those things was like, I don't know how they're going to wrap this up. I don't know if people are going to die. Like I had a feeling because it was kind of like tending to mawkish that we were going to get a happy ending. But I think the political intrigue bit of it was like, right, how are they going to wrap it up? How are they going to do it? So was that the big plot point for you? Or was there like another one?
Well, no, yeah, because like I said, like the synopsis makes it seem like this is a very our blues
Yes.
or it just seems like it's a very almost slice of life mother-son family, not like a Reply, because I mean there were characters but like not that many, but it just seemed to me like, oh, we have this redemption story of a like fractured relationship that's going to morph into like a better relationship. And then like in the first episode, we get like this murder plot. And I'm like, oh my God. So this is a murder mystery as well as all of this other stuff going on. So, I mean, that was what was surprising to me. And I remember, because you were posting about it daily on your Instagram, and I was almost like, yeah, I'm shocked too. Like, I am shocked too that like it's not that it's not great. It was great. I loved this drama. Don't get me wrong, but it was very shocking. And so I was like, people need to know. Like we even had a conversation. Like, don't you think that people should know before they dive into this? They think this is gonna be like some maybe like sweet mother-son relationship drama, and we're getting like, you know, political intrigue and murder and like I mean, even in the first episode, you're like, oh my gosh, like this is so corrupt. Like in like the worst way. Like this is just like awful from the very beginning. So that was the plot point, because I feel like if you just were like, oh, I'm looking for a drama, and you go read the synopsis underneath the drama on Netflix.
And the poster, because the poster's all pastely and sunshiny and it looks our bluesy, right? Looks
even even the like intro is like
the pig
running her. The pig is so cute because she runs a pig farm, and like pigs are kind of an integral part of the story, which I don't think we'll ever get to. And like we could talk for an hour about the pigs, but like, you know, there's this whole story about how pigs are like the cleanest animal, and the only reason why they roll around in their own feces is because that's how we pin them now, and they're really smart and they're great parents, and they're like all this stuff, which kind of like also plays in the drama. But you watch the first episode and there's like just this little piggy running, and like the only way it can look at the sun is if it like launches itself on its back, and you're like, oh, this is going to be a really sweet drama. Murder. Like it's like, oh my god,
I know, right?
That's how I felt. So like that's why I thought like, oh, we need to kind of talk about that. It's not a spoiler. If you watch episode 1, we haven't spoiled anything for you. Just you need to know before you dive in, because it's kind of shocking.
So
I will. we needed a better synopsis for this one. So
Yeah. I think it's a classic K-drama mishmash of a lot of genres. And I think for me, that's bits of it that I found problematic with it. That some of them they got really right. So I think, like I said, the political stuff, the intrigue stuff was right, but some of the other stuff, which I think we'll come on to, it didn't gel so well for me. So where do you sit with bullying and abuse in dramas, Megan? Like, did you watch The Glory, for example? And how did you find the abuse in this drama in comparison?
So I'll never love bullying in a drama. I've seen like, oh my gosh, now I can't remember the name. Oh my gosh, it's going to bother me so bad that I can't remember the name. It's the one about they're in high school and True Beauty. Right. Got it. True Beauty. Like the bullying in True Beauty devastated me. I was so sad. Like I love that character and like that just seemed really over the top. I watched The Glory and I really did like hit forward, like skip some of the bullying scenes because they were just so much. Like they were, I'm not going to say over the top because they serve their purpose, but it was very hard to watch and it was very painful. And the mental and physical abuse that the main character in The Glory suffered was just like completely insane to me. And like, I understand that that's based on a true story and I just like, oh my God, that breaks my heart. But while it's very hard to watch, I understand when a drama has bullying or has abuse. If it's there to serve a purpose, then I'm okay with it. But this particular drama had a surprising amount of violence and abuse that I was not prepared for. And some of the scenes were so heartbreaking. I could believe it, but I couldn't believe it because the way that this drama was sold to me, I was like, people are going, and people did. I mean, there were some discussions online about the amount of abuse in this particular drama. And it's not just at the hands of the main characters. There are some side characters that really suffer some major abuse. What about you?
So I didn't watch The Glory specifically because I can't do bullying and abuse. I find it really hard. I think especially now I'm a mum of young kids, it's all just a bit real. So I listened to the pod. And then and that just confirms for me it was right for me not to watch it. So I got to listen to like the entire pod. So like I felt like I kind of got to know the drama through the pod, and that was like a nice, safe way to do it. But that kind of stuff stays with me as well. So I couldn't. I think in some ways though, like some of this, like we touched upon that it didn't seem to be like that this was going to have this in this kind of drama. So in a way it was worse for me because I wasn't really prepared for it. It just kind of like, I was like, whoa, what is this? Like, I mean, even at the start, again, this is not really spoilery, but you know, she's hitting him, right? There are many scenes where he's got welts on his legs because she's just taken a cane to his calves for not studying hard enough. I mean, this is a boy that is like, oh my God, he works so hard, right? He studies so hard. He's trying his best to be the best son for her, and it always doesn't seem to be enough. And just right from the get-go, that was it. And I was just like, I get why, because some people on Twitter were like, or on Instagram were like, oh, well, this is why she's bad, right? This is the bad mother, the good bad mother. And I'm like, that's not kind of where I thought it was going to be. Like, I didn't think.
Yeah, I didn't either. And like, I've watched, like I said, I did a lot of K-drama watching between 2020 and 2021, but there are a lot of K-dramas that have some type of like family abuse, like parental abuse. And I understand that that's like par for the course sometimes when you go into a K-drama, but there's this one scene where like the mother is very artistic. You find that out like very early. She makes banners and she draws murals and does all this stuff. And he like inherits that artistic ability from her. And he is drawing instead of studying. and she just like throws all his art out
Yeah.
and is like, this is not, and in a way where like he's young, he's like 7 or 8 years old, and she's just like, never ever, this is not your life, this is not what you're doing. And like, as a mom, I'm like, I can't even imagine doing that to my kid. Like, I would say, not right now is not the right time, let me save these for later. But like the way in which she just, those first scenes of him growing up and studying and that kind of thing were just like, oh, this is where we're going with this, right? Like it just was kind of like, oh, wow, okay, I'll give it. I mean, obviously it was episode 1, so I was like, okay, episode 1, we have a long way to go here. And I mean, we went on a journey for sure.
For sure. Yeah. And I actually I'll touch on this in the spoiler section, but I almost didn't finish. I almost dropped the drama because we're going to talk about the food as a way to abuse in the spoiler section. So that was one of the big things, really triggering for me. Yeah.
Did the Korean humor and the drama work for you? And I said, I mean, I think so, but maybe I'm not understanding what parts were Korean humor, and like they went over my head. So give me some examples and we can talk about them.
I think generally the villagers were just annoying to me. So like hands on cards on table, I love a squad. Like I really love K-drama squads. And they're a huge reason why I fell in love with K-dramas. But sometimes you get like a squad that just don't work. And for me, this was one of them. Like I didn't get why the village head's wife was permanently in a face mask, like a paper face mask. That was just like, I think it was meant to be funny, but I like that. Like I called that Korean humor because I was like, that just goes over my head. I have no idea why that's funny. And then there were just the things that we're doing to each other, like the constant kind of like, we're going around like losing their heads about the pig farm, wanting the pig farm there, not wanting the pig farm there. Then this music producer comes with his lyrics that felt like an in-joke as well. Like maybe there's a music producer that plagiarized a lot of songs or something. Again, so that kind of felt like it went over my head, because then I was like, I don't know what that person's about, why that person's funny. And then the other thing was the bumbling criminals. So one of the corrupt guys, so Choi Moon-sung, who plays this corrupt businessman, has these 2 henchmen that go to the village, and they're there to kind of stake out the village and find out whether Kang Ho's got all these like secret documents. And basically they do it by trying to be like farmers, but they do it really ineptly. And then there's just tons and tons of scenes of them being really inept. And it just drove me crazy, because I was like, I can't take them seriously, because I can't flip from them being the henchmen of this incredibly dark and very well written villain. Like he's not comic at all. He is not paid for comedy at all. But these 2 henchmen totally are. Like, I just was, every time those came on, I was just like, I'm going to fast forward these ones. I just want to get through onto the other bits of the drama.
Yeah, the village head's wife in the face mask for me was just so over the top. He explained it at one point that he found her like in the woods, and she was like a Yakuza boss's daughter, and he saved her and has been like keeping her hidden, which all the villagers were like, okay, that's a lie. Like, obviously you're just lying about this. But then almost at the end, it's like, she is someone politically important. Maybe she takes off her mask and then she's like, just kidding, I'm not leaving. Okay. Like, again, I know it's thrown in there for like some humor, but like, give me more of like me too. Okay, give me more of the twins. Like, I don't need this part. And I did like later in the script talk about it because I didn't want to forget them. But the 2 henchmen were, for me, hilarious because they were so, and again, I watch dramas not for the discerning eye. I watch dramas to be entertained. So don't ever ask me for a really good opinion on a drama, because I'll be like, oh my God, I loved Airs. And like nobody I know loved Airs. So just put that in your back pocket for a minute. But the henchmen, there's a point in the drama where the henchmen like actually grow something. And the one is like so excited. It's so funny. He's like, I mean, I'm going to be on the news because I grew something. And the other one's like, we kill people. We can't be on the news. Like, why would you invite this newscaster to our farm? We're going to expose ourselves. Like, what are you doing? And he's like, but I'm just really proud, like, that I grew this. And it's like, Oh boy. So yeah, they were bumbling, fumbling idiots. And it was very hard to take them serious. And I was almost to the point like they're never going to get their
No.
work done. Like they're never going to
No.
murder because they're too busy being farmers. So I get what you're saying. And yeah, some of that humor did like, I'm like, oh, I don't really know why this is in there, but the villagers totally made me laugh. Samsik made me laugh. We'll get to him. Like he made me laugh so much. Like he's just so cute. He's adorable. Cute. But yeah, like I hope that as I continue to watch and like build my catalog of like dramas I've watched, that I'm pretty good about getting the humor. And even though this is a Netflix drama, I will say that and no shade to Netflix, like don't block me or anything, but Vicky does explain a lot of the jokes sometimes. So I have learned humor from watching dramas on Vicky, because in the subtitles, they'll tell you why they're making this reference, or they'll tell you why this is funny. So I kind of learned like, oh yeah, that's funny because blah, 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 whatever. So yeah, like I get it. But yeah, there were some parts that were just a little like played for laughs, but it was a little too serious to play for laughs at that point.
I agree. So there you have it, like two different views. Depends on where you land with your humor. So, but overall, before we get to the spoiler section, Megan, would you rec this drama? And if so, who do you think it would work for and who wouldn't it work for?
So I would definitely rec this drama. But I would add a trigger warning, or I would add like the synopsis says this, but actually all of these things also happen in this drama. This wasn't My Name or The Glory. But to me, it was like more like a Vincenzo. And I don't know if you'll agree with that. Vincenzo has like this phenomenal ensemble cast that you think it is just like dead weight. Like you're kind of like, oh my gosh, these people are just so wacko.
Yeah, they
right?
are.
Like they're just
at the start, you're just
like kind of crazy. Yeah, they're just kind of crazy, and they're quirky and weird, and you're like, oh, but they're so endearing and we love them. And then you find out like there's a big reveal at the end that you're like, oh, that's why all those people live together. Okay, I get it now. But this drama to me had like, it's about community, it's about really big feelings, there's redemption, there's family love, there's heartbreak, there's all of these big K-drama like touchstones that like we meet every time. But at the same time, there's also this really dark underlying story, and for me that worked because it kept the drama rolling. But I don't know, the closest thing I could think of is Vincenzo, because while Vincenzo was very violent, very dark at times, very serious at times, I laughed so much watching Vincenzo, and I laughed so much watching this as well. So I just feel like if you're a fan of Vincenzo, you'll probably be a fan of this. They're different, but maybe not so different, because Vincenzo really did have a journey with his mom too. So
I think they got a lot of the genre mashup done better in Vincenzo than in this drama, I think. Because I think Vincenzo just really nailed the action, it nailed the comedy, it nailed the like that core relationship and that whole ensemble class.
And we're still trying to get Megan.
We are. So on that, if you do like Vincenzo, if you do like Vincenzo and you want to hear a deep dive, message Megan, Afternoona Delight Megan, that is, because Army Megan is, as you're hearing, totally on board with Vincenzo. So we are trying to get her to watch it because we think she'd like it, right? We think she'd like it. I mean, it is 20 episodes, so it's a bit of a commitment, but she can do it, and then we can do a deep dive together. So if you want to hear an Afternoona Delight deep dive on Vincenzo, go and at Megan.
And like, not to get totally off topic, but I just want to tell you that I did rec Vincenzo to someone who was not a K-drama fan at all. Okay. A man, my cousin, and he watched Squid Games, and he was like, oh, it was so good. It was this or that. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. I said, listen, in the first few minutes of this drama, this man lights an entire vineyard on fire. in the most fantastic way. It looks like a Michael Bay movie. And he was like, well, okay, let me go see what it is. And he binged that show. He loved it. He thought Vincenzo was great. So I'm just saying, if you like action, it is an action like drama. It's pretty amazing. And then you just have like some great characters that, So to round it out, I'm just saying, vote for Vincenzo.
Go bother. Go bother Megan. Go bother Megan.
So what about
for me, I think I wrote on my Instagram when I wrote the finale post that I wouldn't rec this because of the reservations I have. And we'll go into them more in detail in the spoiler section, but specifically for me, it's the parental abuse and this huge dollops of ableism that I found really tough to watch. So for those of you who don't know me, my background is British Chinese. And I'm also part of a mixed neurotypical neurodivergent family. So I'm kind of full of intersections. So I think the Chinese side of me and those friendship groups will probably be okay with this abuse because I found it quite Asian. Like it's very Confucian. This idea of parents know the best. They know what to do for you to get you to do well. If it means being extra tough on you and extra strict on you, so be it the ends justify the means. And it fits very much within that kind of cultural backup. However, my kind of neurodivergent parenting circles would find some of the behavior of the mum, especially, as really crossing the line. And they would probably drop this drama. So I'm at the intersection of all this, and I find it kind of an interesting place to be. But for that reason, I probably wouldn't rec it. And also, I think you and I, and again, we'll get to the spoiler section, I think at the end of it, where I was emotionally was a different place from you, I think. But the love story did have me in tears, which again we'll go into. And there's also a late flourishing comic duo in An Eun-jin, who plays Mi-ju, and Yoo In-soo, who are just so funny. So that was also one of my highlights of this drama.
And I agree with you because I enjoyed this drama, but like I wouldn't say it's like a top 10 for me. And I agree with all of those points you just made. This is a very hard drama to watch. And that's why I just don't think that the synopsis is fair, because it doesn't give you anywhere near the whole story of like what's happening. Like, and I'll just put it in this example. I just wrapped F4 Thailand, which is one of the iterations of Boys Over Flowers. And it was sold to me in previews exactly what I got. Is there abuse and physical violence? Yes. Is there parental mental abuse? Yes. And I knew exactly what I was getting into. I've seen all the other iterations. I kind of knew already what I was, what story I was climbing into. But I feel like this drama didn't do that. So for you to have that reaction, it's very fair. And for other people listening, if those are things you cannot watch on the screen, don't watch this drama. I liked it. I liked the relationships. I really did love some of the characters, but those things weren't triggering for me on a level that made it uncomfortable for me to watch. But I can see that someone would be very uncomfortable with this drama. So again, keep that in mind, because, we feel completely different about the drama, which is great. I'm someone who's watching it for entertainment value, and I wasn't triggered by any of that. Whereas you felt like it was just not handled correctly, and you're not alone in that. Like, you're not the only person that feels that way. Do you know what I mean?
I totally know what you mean. Cool. Right. So since we're crashing the pod, we might as well crash the favorite part of the week and do a K-pop rec. And since we've got Afternoona Army Megan here with us, what's our K-pop rec of the week, Megan?
Okay, so K-pop rec of the week. Today is July 11th, 2023. And by the time you're listening to this, Friday, July 14th will have passed. And why is that an important date, you might ask? Well, Jungkook of BTS is dropping his first single off his solo debut. And the name of the title track is 7. Aww. Not only that, but on Friday, July 14th, he will be performing and opening the Good Morning America concert series here in the States. And that is a very big deal. So my rec of the week for you is what we call JJK1, with JK1 or JK solo debut, but it's actually called 7, and it will be out by the time you hear this. In the meantime, you can also listen to one of my favorite songs from last summer, which is Left and Right, and is a collab he did with Charlie Puth. So if you are looking for Army friends, come visit us at Afternoona Army on Instagram, and listen to our podcast and follow us there. And we talk about BTS all the time. We're also talking about other groups too. So we're branching out a little bit, but we are very BTS focused.
Yay! I love it. I love that Charlie Puth one. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it. Cool. Right. So then we're going to rock out into the spoiler section. So I think we've alluded to this a lot. So let's just deal with the elephant in the room right from the get-go. Yes. I think one of the most contentious topics for those of us who watched this drama, Dropping Live, was whether in fact she was a good or bad mother. How do you think the drama handled this? Because I know we both have views.
Yeah. I mean, it took me almost to the very end for me not to think she was an absolute monster.
Yeah.
Because she really did go back and forth, and the beginning was hard to watch because she really did horrible things to him. She was strict and she was mean with the intention of, I want you to be successful and I want you to do really well in school. She also threw his food away if he was getting sleepy after eating. She, like I said before, threw away his artwork because he wasn't studying enough for her. And while I understand that she wanted him to grow up and make something of himself, I just felt like that was really overboard. And then after his accident, she did some really horrible things.
Yeah.
And, there's 2 instances that really stick out in my mind. And one is, he's basically like a quadriplegic at this point. He has some feeling in his hands. And she's like, if you're hungry, feed yourself. And he can't. He really can't. That was so incredibly hard to watch. The other is when she tells him he needs to learn how to walk. And she takes him down to the riverbank. And she throws him in the river.
Yeah.
Not once, multiple times. And he is screaming for her for help. Now, mind you, the river is about knee deep, but this man is paralyzed. He also, at this point in the drama, still has the mind of a child, a 7-year-old child. So while she's trying to do all of these things to rehab him and his physical body, his mental and emotional person is nowhere near mature enough to understand what she's doing. And it is heartbreaking. I don't know that I can express that enough. And that is where I remember reading your post on Instagram and you were like, trigger warning. And I was like, yes, because I was not expecting that at all. And it was so triggering. It was just so almost unbelievable that it happened. Yeah. I know it's fiction, but they really went there. The writers really went there with that scene.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they were going hard with the bad. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that then you get the drama arc, and then you come out of it and you go, okay, well, this is where the good is, right? So I think for you, again, you got to the end, right? And
I did, and I got to the end, and I think that she finally understood. There's a lot of other stuff going on while this is happening. And before his accident, he has cut out everybody in his life. Kang Ho has turned his back on everybody he loves. And what you find out, spoiler alert, is because he's going after these big baddies who have no problem killing everybody you're associated with. And they've made that known to Kang Ho because he has worked for them for 3 or 4 years at this point. And he knows they will use my people against me to get me to do what they want or stop my exposure of them. So he really does cut out his mom. He cuts out Miju. Everybody is just no longer in his life. And so you think, oh, okay, well, she's being mean because he cut her out. And then as you learn, they've just had this like really weird relationship the entire time. And then you get to the end and she apologizes to him. She explains to him what she had in mind, what she was doing. And you almost get like this empathy for her. Again, spoiler alert, one other thing we didn't add, she's dying, because of course she is, it's a K-drama, so of course mom's dying, right? Like mom has terminal cancer at this point. And you know what I mean? Like, I mean, add more things into this drama at this point, but so you get this point where you're like, oh my God, she's dying, and her son, and she's trying to get her son married off because he has the mind of a child. Like, who knows who's going to take care of him? There's no one to take care of him. And she does all of these things, and you're thinking, okay, she's like redeeming herself, and she has this arc, and it's almost beautiful in the way that they kind of, I don't think he's ever going to forget what she did, but I feel like he is like, okay, I understand my mom and I love her, and I'm glad that I'm back in her life. Like, we're in a life together. And then they're like going to bed, and she's like, sing me a song, sing me that song you sang me. He took her out on a date, which was really cute, but sing me that song you sang me on our date. And he's like singing her this lullaby that is the lullaby his father sang to him while he was in utero, because obviously his father was killed before he was born. Another spoiler. And she dies. And I just sobbed.
Yeah.
I absolutely just sobbed, because at that point she has fulfilled her duty. She feels as the mother. She has made amends, or has attempted to make amends with him. And he's singing a song he has never forgotten. Like, a song that has been part of his life forever. And she is like at a place where she is at peace and knows he will be okay. And I sobbed. Like, I just was like, oh, this is too much. Like, I'm in my kitchen alone, or like at my like kitchen bar thing where I watch my K-dramas all the time, just sobbing, like, here I am alone sobbing about a K-drama. But I mean, she does have an arc, and she does, at the end of it, I had so much empathy for her. I cared about her as a character. I cried when she passed. But I also cried for him, because he had a hard life, and so did she. She had a hard life. He had a hard life. Does not excuse the abuse. You know what I mean? So I can say at the end of it, I cried like a baby, but that doesn't mean it was okay. It doesn't mean that any of that stuff was okay. You know what I mean?
And I think, to be fair, a lot of people felt like you as well. Like, I think the ending really got to a lot of people I saw. So yeah, I feel like I'm a bit of the outlier on it, actually. So I think this is like probably the key place where me and you differ, because I think for me, she got her redemption a little bit too easily. So I'll go into that a bit later, but I think firstly for me, so I'm a feeder as a mum, right? And food is so important in our family, in my wider family. Like, typically in Asian cultures, we don't talk about loving each other. We don't use words and say, oh, I love you, mum, I love you. And we don't hug each other. There's no like physical kind of expression of love, but food is our love language, right? We feed people. So this drama specifically, rooted as it is in Korea, in Asian culture, specifically knowingly used food as a way to manipulate the child. So in this first half of the drama, we've talked about this, she stops him eating because she's always telling him if he eats too much, he won't study well. So there's lots of flashback scenes of him trying to cram as much food as he can, hidden in corners or hiding in the kitchen. And then in the second half, as you already alluded to, he's wheelchair bound, and she uses it as motivation to get him to eat. And this is where I have to, where I did flash this huge, like, this ableism trigger warning here, this like, to be fair, very Asian concept of that disabled people just aren't trying hard enough. They're just lazy, like, if you just motivated them more and they tried a bit more, then they'd be, able to overcome their disabilities. So she's using food again, and deliberately not feeding him any, and taking away the food. And he's shouting, oh ma, I'm hungry. And I almost, like, honestly, at the point, I was like, almost didn't finish again, because I was like, she's doing it again. She's learned no lessons at all. Because first of all, when he was, first came back to her, he refused to eat food. And I was a bit like, see, he's refusing to eat food because you used food as a way to abuse him when he was younger. And it's just, honestly, it's literally my worst nightmare, my child telling me that he's hungry. And then it's what's worse for me. So you have all of this, right? But what's worse for me is the drama plays this kind of jaunty music over it. It's almost played like a comedy scene. And the wheelchair scene that you talked about where she chucks him in the river, that also has this kind of slightly lively music to it as well. So it's almost like the drama's going like, hey, isn't this mum, like, isn't the way she's dealing with it kind of funny? And I'm like, no, it's flipping not funny. It's just so deeply problematic for me. I mean, like, for the Asian side of me, like the use of food, because this is our cultural love language, as an abuse is so hard. And the Western side of me is just like, fuck, this kid is going to have eating disorders. Like, you've like really screwed with his brain and his, like, you know, and this is the other thing. Like, I think for someone who has gone through all of this, he is way too stable. Like, he has no PTSD, and it's just the lens of it is all about her and all about like her feeling bad and her feeling guilty, which she absolutely should do. But I think there are just too few repercussions for her, like, other than this like kind of feeling of guilt that she gets towards the end of the drama. And that's kind of where the ending didn't land for me. So yeah, that was my main issue. And there's lots of other examples of that, but those are the main ones we've kind of like talked about on the pod so far.
Yeah, and I think that, like, if the Nunas were reviewing this, they would say that like there was not enough time used to explain how he doesn't have PTSD. The man should just have PTSD about all the horrible things that happened to him.
So true.
Because the mom abuse, the abuse from the mom is like huge. Yeah. Also, he has been working for the two men that literally contract killed his dad. You add that in. Then, because twist of fate, we're going to talk about this in a minute, his fiance killed him or tried to. Yeah. She worked with her dad. So, like, the man just has so much trauma. And then you're telling me that, like, he forgot. Like, is it because he forgot about all of it? So when he got his memories back, he only remembers the good things? I don't know. Like, it's never explained, but I agree. Like, that's kind of like, oh, wait, he should not be as stable a person as he is. Like, he should be angry and like upset about things. And he's not, which a 14 episode drama, you're probably not going to get that, right? So you just kind of like, I say this more towards the end when we're talking about the ending of this, like, how did the ending land for me? I just had to kind of go, this is totally fake. Yeah. This is a soap opera for me, because I was a soap opera kid here in the US. I don't know about the UK, but like in the US, soap operas are like where it's at. And so I can remember in high school spending my summers catching up on my favorite soap operas, and they were off the rails. Someone had amnesia. Someone was possessed by the devil. Somebody got in a boat accident 10 years ago and is back. Like, but they have a new name and a new identity. Like, it's just off the rails. So for me, sometimes I watch these dramas and I go, yeah, okay. It's not based in reality at all, but I'm okay with that. And I think that comes from personal drama, like from the pandemic, where I just wanted to watch anything that was not pandemic related. Yeah. So if it went off the rails, like my first drama was Something in the Rain, which is a great drama, but my second was Crash Landing on You. And Crash Landing on You is like not based in reality at all. I love it. And no hate to Crash Landing on You, guys. I love it. But it was it took me places that I was not going in my personal life. My personal life was like, you have to wear a mask everywhere. Don't leave your house. The kids don't have school. We don't know how long this is going to last. Everything in California has been shut down. I needed that departure. So sometimes where these dramas seem almost like, wow, nobody was driving the car when they were, right? Like, there was no direction here. No one explained this. No one did that. That's okay for me, because I really do watch these for entertainment value. So some of these things I kind of overlook, which makes me like probably not the best like
No, I think a lot
reviewer,
I think a lot of
K-drama.
people felt your way. I mean, this is why I think this drama was really good to talk about because I think we saw it, didn't we? Like on social media, like there were definitely people who felt
Mhm.
the way you feel, and there were definitely people that felt the way I feel. So it was a real like, and that's the great thing about dramas when they're kind of divisive like that, right? So it just kind of stirs up conversation, and
Yeah.
you're just like, okay, yeah, interesting. So the mother wasn't the only bad parent, and what was your take on the mental and physical abuse other characters suffered?
So I kind of talked about this, but I mean, you know, Ote Su, the presidential candidate, really does get worst dad
Oh,
of the
sure.
decade.
Yeah.
Um, because he manipulated his daughter in like the worst, most terrible ways. But the amount of physical and like mental abuse that Oh Ha-young went through to me was just really staggering. I mean, there was this horrible scene where he literally throws her against a
Oh, yeah.
wall um, and like shatters a vase. And then he's like, clean up the vase. Like, you just threw your daughter against a wall. Like, he has her locked up. Like, he tells everyone, oh, she's mentally incapacitated. Like, she just needs to be locked up when she
Yeah.
doesn't. And then he convinces her to do the unthinkable, which is off her fiance, Kang Ho, because he tells her that Kang Ho betrayed her and he's not a good fiance and he knows all the dirt. So we're just going to kill him. And that's what she attempts to do. And the worst part of all of it is I think she really did love Kang Ho. And it's sad because he didn't really
No.
love her. He was putting on
Yeah.
an act. And so it's like a double heartbreak
Yeah.
there, right? Because he gets in this accident, loses all his memories. There's no resolution because he was supposed to die in that accident. He didn't. And now she has to live with the fact that she tried to off this guy who, in all other appearances, loves her. Finally, somebody loves her for who she is. And now she has to live with the fact that she didn't get the job done and her dad is like holding her under duress and like the whole thing. So there were other instances of family abuse in this, but hers just was the most staggering
Yeah.
to me. And the whole time I'm thinking, and this guy's running for office, but I live in the United States. So whatever, it's
Yeah.
fine. What are you gonna do, right? I can't be a judge. But what did you think? Was there any other parent that you were just like, ooh, I don't like
No, I
that?
agree with your one. I think he was the pits. He really was. He was just straight out. There was no redemption for him though. That was like he was done.
I mean, good.
Yeah.
He didn't deserve
No.
one. He really didn't. He did some awful, horrible things to lots of people. And what was really interesting is him and the character played by oh my gosh, I don't know his name, but he played
Yeah,
Tech's
Choi
dad.
Sung. Yeah.
And yes, they just any means necessary to destroy each other, which was really
Yeah.
interesting. So they have to work together. Like there's the scene where the daughter, Oh Hae-young, is finally getting remarried to somebody.
Yes.
And then he sends her a gift, that not her father, but the other baddie sends her this like beautifully wrapped gift. And when she opens it, it's literally pictures of Kang Ho just living his life, looking like a normal person. And she's like, what? Like, and then the wedding's not happening. Like, it's just, they just, any means necessary to destroy each other. It's like so over the top. But I mean, this drama is kind of over the top. But for a minute, can we talk about Lee Doh Hyun's acting?
Yeah.
Because there is a part in this drama where I forgot for a moment he wasn't a 7-year-old child. Like, I really was like, that is exactly how my 7-year-old, when I had a 7-year-old, both my children are older, but if I had a 7-year-old child, that's exactly how they would act if they didn't want to eat the food you were trying to give them. He is in a bed. He just came home from the hospital. He is in a bed and he has decided he does not want to eat what his mother's serving. And he can't really use his limbs at this point. And he is refusing food by any means necessary. And I was just stunned because he did that so well. And even his acting like a 7-year-old, it's I don't even know. It's superb.
Yes.
I guess a good word would be
Yeah,
superb because he's so
he
great in
is.
this. And you forget that he's not
No.
7 years old.
And then there's a part where he is actually recovered his memories and he's in the police station
Mhm.
and he's pretending that he's a
Yes.
7, but the pretending of the 7-year-old was actually like you could tell he was pretending. So it was like another layer
Right.
of acting. It was just amazing. Like he just has, yeah,
Yeah.
he has such range.
He grabs that. Yeah. He grabs the guy's ramen and eats it and then
Yeah.
spits it out. And you're like, oh my gosh. Like it's, you know, there's this scene in The Glory. You didn't watch
Yeah.
The Glory. There's this scene in The Glory where I can't remember the setup of it, but he is looking at his tools he uses as a dermatologist, and the camera pans and it's like a scalpel, this, that. And then it's like a knife, a hunting knife, a bigger hunting knife. And then he just like looks at the camera with these like chilling eyes. And you're like, you are not the man I thought you were. Let's go on this journey together. I sadly, this is like the first thing I have really seen him in. Besides The Glory, I will have to go back and watch more of his dramas because I really want to see, I think it's called 18
Oh
again.
yeah, but it's really hard to find. I really want to see that too. Yeah.
Yes. And if I find it, I'll tell you. And if you find it, tell me, because I hear it's just his best.
It's really good. That and Youth of May, which I also haven't seen, apparently is really, but I think that's pretty sad and hard going, right? So I've kind of been like waiting to be in the right mood to watch that one, but it's on my list.
Yeah, I watched the first 2 episodes of that. And I didn't finish, not because I didn't like it, but there was a lot of other things happening at the same time. So I was like, oh, I'll go back to it. And I never did, which I regret now. But what were your favorite parts of this drama?
So for me, the relationship between Miju and Kang Ho was just like the best. In fact, if anything, I would just say like I'm obviously such a romance fan, so I'm just like I want more of them and less of this stupid villagers and those bumbling villains. I'd much rather have more scenes of them. But the relationship flashback scenes really got me, and given how relatively little screen time it got, it really grabbed my heart. Like I think when he wrote that letter to his mum and talked about Miju being the son in his life, the only warmth that he knew, that was like, oh. And then obviously, as we know, that as Megan's referred to already, he self-sacrificially gave up their relationship, which was really happy, and like you could see it was the only source of joy and love that he'd had, and he had to give that up in order to keep her safe, right? He had to kind of pretend that he was no longer in love with her. And also then to chase the presidential candidate's daughter. But there is like one particular set of flashback scenes when and it's always like this pit of despair, right? The dark night of the soul moment in a romance, so they've split up already, but he goes back to spy on her, or like goes back to just look at her, I guess, because he's missing her so much, and he mistakenly thinks, and at this point she's pushing twins in a pushchair, and there's a man that's standing with her and she's like laughing with him, and he mistakenly assumes that he is the father of the twins, and we see the rest of the scene play out. He's turned away, but we see that actually he's the husband of her co-worker, and then later he's just standing, just sobbing and crying in the rain, and my heart was just like just bursting for him, because he just does those emotional scenes so well. And there were like such a tiny scene, but there are full romance dramas that don't get me as choked up as that tiny little scene did. So these drama, like this is so frustrating about this drama for me, because these writers are so flipping good. They're so flipping good. And for me, like, if they could have just nailed some of the other stuff better, this drama would have been so good. But yeah, write a romance drama next, guys, because you've got it. Like, you know what to do.
Yeah, they wrote like Fated Mates so well. Like Fated Mate Second Chance, because like that scene was very hard, because by then you understand that he really did this on purpose. He really did love her, and but he knew that the 2 baddies would use her, right? Either kill her or abuse her or do something terrible to her. And he knew that. And so he totally walked away from her. And at this point, this flashback comes when you know all of that and you see him and you watch him realize that she has moved on with her life. She really hasn't, but he assumes that she has, and he's just like crying in the rain. And give me K-drama lead crying in the rain any day of the week. I'm like you, I love romance. Like give it all to me, right? Like it just love it so much. But you're right. There were so many great romance parts of this drama. And I don't think that, unfortunately, the people that love romance like that are going to watch this because there's so much other stuff.
It's too much of it. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like that's like that's the part that isn't great.
What about you? What were your favorite parts?
So my favorite part, I have a couple, but the one that really stuck out to me is, I don't even know what episode it is, but the twins, and we will get to the twins because they are fantastic. But Miju has twins, and it's when we figure out that the twins are Kang Ho's twins. And Yijin, the little girl, it says, I'm not eating my carrots. And Miju's like, why? And she's like, I don't like them. And what we know is that Kang Ho also doesn't like to eat carrots. And I watched that scene and I was like, those are his kids. Those are his babies. What are we waiting for? Right? Because at this point, the twins hang out with Kang Ho every day because the twins are sick.
So they're like playmates.
So they're all besties. They all hang out together. And they go back and forth between like ganging up on Kang Ho or like taking care of Kang Ho. So it's like really, really funny. But I really did, sitting in my house, go, oh my God, those are his babies, like out loud to no one in particular, because it was so cute. And I had thought this early on that these were his children, but there were a lot of other distractions that made me think, oh, maybe not. Like maybe the math doesn't add up. Maybe the timelines don't add up. But this scene did it for me. And then as I was going through and looking up things for the episode today, like for the script, someone on TikTok pointed out that in one of the first opening scenes of Kang Ho's dad, he's also picking carrots out. So it's a very full circle moment about the carrots, which I think is really cute.
It's so cute. Yeah. I mean, I don't know why we don't have more secret baby plots in K-drama, right? Because it's,
I mean, I feel like we need them.
Well, it's so OTT backjang kind of stuff. I loved it. And then that moment when he finally kind of, he's recovered his memories, he knows they're his, and he just runs up to them and gives them a hug and just, I'm so sorry for not recognizing you earlier.
Oh my God, I sobbed at that point because he has his memories. He's dressed completely different, right? Because his mother's been dressing him up to this point, and like no shade to the mom, but he's wearing like, sweater vests and like, little collared shirts and like khakis. And then here he comes, Mr. Prosecutor in all black, like looking like a K-pop star, right? With a hat and like the whole thing. And he calls them by name, and it's in a different way than he has the entire drama, right? He is like, calls both of their names, and they look and they run to him, and he hugs them both at the same time. And he tells them, like, I'm something about like, it's so good to see you. I'm sorry I didn't recognize you. And the little boy is like, yeah, because that's a new hat. And the little girl, who I love, Yijin for the win, is like, that is not a new hat. He's worn that hat 10 times because she is obsessed with him. He's like her first love, which is hysterical. It is hysterical. But I just, I am one of those people, I know I'm probably rare. I love kids in K-drama.
No, I do. Okay? I love kids in K-drama.
I don't know if it's because I'm a mom or what, but like Uju, we've talked about Uju before from Hospital Playlist. He is, when he told his dad that he went to the egg sandwich shop with his mother-in-law, I lost it. Like, it's one of my favorite K-drama scenes of all time. And then like Jinju from Reply 88 has a special place in my heart because Jinju is the cutest thing I've ever seen. Like, she's so funny. But these child actors had amazing comedic timing. They showed emotion. Sometimes a kid is like there as a prop, like it's like, oh, look at the kid, whatever. But like these twins were so cute. Secret baby plot for the win. And I love that, like, they were, because they're 6 or 7-ish, and he's mentally at this point in the drama 7. and like they would bully him or like blame him for their
Well,
shenanigans.
they kept
from time to
setting
time.
him off
And
on the
then-
wheelchair, didn't they? They were like, we're just
Yeah.
going to make you like go really fast in your wheelchair.
They really did. And he would be like, hey, wait a minute, I can't stop. And they're like, oh, well, see you later. And like, there he goes, like rolling down the hill. And like, that is really, honestly, that's not funny, but like it was played up for laughs. And he was never hurt or anything like that. But yeah, like they just, I don't know. They were really cute. They really made the draw. I would have loved more. I could have done up to episode 16 if I could have got some more family time, to be honest. But that's me as like a romantic K-drama person of them like building a life.
Yeah,
together.
I really like that. Although I thought it was so super cute where we leave it where she is basically in a massive sulk with her mum because her mum has married her crush, the love of her life.
Yeah.
And
she says something like so her brother, I can't remember her brother's name. He's adorable too. The brother says like, Appa, like they're calling their names. They're walking, they're calling their names. And the little boy's like, Appa, over here, like, Dad, over here. And she was like, that is Kangho Oppa. He is not my dad. I can't believe my mother's still my boyfriend or like my husband or something. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so funny.
so cute.
It is. It's really
so
cute.
Kangho, right? At any time before episode 11, did you think he had his memories back?
I did.
Really? I've not thought about this.
I did.
So I want to hear it.
So there were a couple of scenes, and I think he's getting his memories back, but there are a couple of scenes where he makes comments and he gets like this really weird look in his eye, which is out of character for the Kangho he is at that point in time. So the context is after his accident, he is mentally 7 years old. And we go through probably 5 or 6 episodes, maybe not 5, let's say 4 episodes, where he is very childlike. He is going through rehab. He's very attached to his mother. He relies on her for all things. He like wants to keep a pig and she's trying to tell him like, no, we can't have a pig in the house. And he has one anyway, like just very childlike. And then we start getting episodes where his memory is getting triggered by things. So either things that he sees, things that he hears on television, people in the village talking, and he almost gets a different look on his face. And then he's like spouting off facts or he's alluding to things that nobody else understands. And so in those moments, I was waiting for like the other shoe to drop to be like, he knows everything that's going on and he's like playing a part, which we didn't get. Like we didn't get that until episode 11. But I would watch an episode and think, I think he has his memory back. Like I think he knows what's going on and he's like playing it up so that he can take these people down or protect his family or something. So I don't know if that's a feeling that everybody got, but there were a couple instances where I was like, wait a minute. I think he knows. Like I think he has his memories back. And the writers and in the drama, we don't ever get that question answered until episode 11. He is in another accident, in fact, where he hits his head really hard. And then when he wakes up, he knows exactly what's going on. So I just was curious to know if you felt that.
I see what you're saying actually now. Yeah. I mean, I think it's I think they did it really well actually. I think that they showed like that his brain would suddenly, because he'd just basically start spouting loyally, like he'd read like verbatim articles of the law, right? And everyone would be around him going like, what's going on? Like, is he getting his memory back? Yeah.
And the only other thing I would add to that really quickly, and it kind of goes back to like your romance like things, and I think I add this in later so we can talk about it again, but I absolutely loved the first time he saw Miju after he lost his memories, because he instantly knew that he had something with her. Do you know what I mean? Like, and then he wants to be around her all the time and she can't do it. Like her heart can't take it. You know what I mean? So like, he's like, hey, asking her questions, doing this. She's like, yeah, okay, goodbye. And she like shuts how many times she shut the door on him was like almost hysterical, because poor thing, she can't reconcile that. So yeah, that was that too. Sometimes when he was thinking about her, I always wondered like, is he getting his memory back, and is it because he feels like his heart knows better than his mind?
Well, he did a few times.
when it comes
He
to
said, "Oh, I have something here. Like I need to indicate like his heart, like it would feel
Mhm.
something." But yeah, I like like her suffering was so much part of what got me through the drama as well, because she did it so well. Like An Eun-jin is she's such a good comedic actress, but she's so good emotionally as well. And I think we could all
Yeah.
feel her pain when she was. But I think her pain at seeing him, full stop. But then her pain at seeing him not basically be the man anymore that she fell in love with, like this 7-year-old child that her kids want to play with. And then they're all like saying how amazing he is. And she's got, you know, a secret baby, like all of that. Like it was so good. It was so good.
Yeah, I had added like anything to get off our chests, like anything you need to get off your chest about this drama. And that was one of the things that I needed to get off my chest, was that Miju was so tough as nails.
Yes.
Literally would kick anyone's ass if you crossed her. And like, you know, she just really processed her losses internally. She always had this like smile on her face, even when she was suffering so badly. Do you know what I mean? Like I felt like she just kind of kept it inside, and her heartache in this drama was palpable. Like I could feel it with my whole body. And you know, like you said, she sees him and realizes he's not the man she loved, yet at the same time she gets these tiny glimpses of him from time to time of the person that he was, and it's just so heartbreaking. And like kudos to Ah Jun, I think I'm saying that right, because her acting is amazing, and I knew that from Hospital Playlist. She was great in Hospital Playlist, but she exercised some really big emotions in this drama. And I mean, her heartbreak and her story was such a moment for me. Like she being the mom of the twins and having to balance that, and then they're like, we love Kang Ho, like can he come spend the night? And she's like, absolutely not. Like he cannot come in this house. So it's like she's holding this secret in for as long as possible. Do you know what I mean? And then you know, eventually they find their way back to each other, but you know, so Sarah, introduce me to one of your favorite characters.
So actually, so we're talking about Yoon Soo here, and I've just rolled out of, so I watched Alchemy of Souls late, so I had actually just finished wrapped Alchemy of Souls and fallen massively in love with Yoon. So I haven't seen All of Us Are Dead. I know, like shock horror. So I haven't either. I'm waiting to see it with my husband, because I think it's the one case he's never seen a K-drama before. Like he's watched Train to Busan with me, and that's it. But I've earmarked it as something I think that he would get into, and it's not so long. So we're waiting to kind of watch it together. We haven't still managed to do that yet. A bit chips in the night, because I'm such a night owl and he is such an early morning person. So we struggle to find the time to watch K-dramas together. But anyway, so I hadn't seen him in that. But then I rolled out of Alchemy of Souls, loving Cinnamon Roll Dangu, and then and initially in the drama, I was like, my God, he's so underused. Like he's just such an amazing actor. His character is so funny. And like, why aren't we seeing more of him? But then they make up for it in the second half of the drama, because he really gets some really great comedic scenes, especially with Miju. And also he is coming up in another drama. So I don't know if you've seen the Uncanny Counter. So the Uncanny Counter season 1, I think, is from a couple of years ago. But they're dropping season 2 later this year. And he's going to get reunited with Park Jin. So with his uncle from Alchemy of Souls is one of the main leads in Uncanny Counter. So if you have like a dad crush on him, like go watch Uncanny Counter 1 so that you're ready for Uncanny Counter 2. But he's joining the cast of Uncanny Counter as a counter. So somebody who fights evil spirits. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him in that as well. But I'm just sold on him. I'm going to go back and just watch like his entire backlist. I love him so much.
Yeah, I had seen him in Alchemy, and just loved him. Like I loved Alchemy. I don't care. Like I just loved it. Some people were like, oh, I don't like this, I like that. I loved it. I just love historicals. It didn't need to make any sense to me at all. Like I just loved it. I don't care. it was
It was
entertaining
entertaining.
in the
Yeah.
best way.
Yeah.
And I really did love his character in that. And I thought he was so adorable and just so like, what I love about him, and I don't know if this is true for all his roles. I will have to go and watch him in more things. His face, you can tell his emotion by his face. So when he is acting like he's hurt, it shows on his face. And when he's angry, it shows on his face. And when he's like perplexed or confused, it shows on his face. He's just such a good actor in that way. And I really hope he doesn't get typecast as like a character actor, because I feel like he could really like hold his own. I have not watched All of Us Are Dead. I'm not a zombie person. I'm going to try, because Leah keeps telling me like, just fast forward the gross parts, like you'll love it. And I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can do it. And I haven't watched Uncanny Encounter because I don't know. I mean, is it scary? Is it not? I don't do a lot.
It's not
like,
scary. No,
scary
it's not. No, I'm a complete chicken, right? I don't watch scary stuff, and so actually, the worst thing about Uncanny Encounter was some of the high school bullying, which I mean,
I've
so
done
exactly.
That,
No, I recommend it. It's good.
And okay, good. I had seen you and Sue in Alchemy, loved Alchemy, wonderful facial expressions. And then towards the end of the drama, he is tasked with like helping Kang Ho do some, not above board things. I mean, he takes it to the next level. Like he tries to be so professional about it. I am never over him in that wig, like in the hospital when he's like wearing the wig. You sent me that reel, which was like fantastic. I will, once this goes live, I will share this reel, because I'm not going to ruin it for anybody that's a fan of K-drama and also is a fan of BTS. I'm not going to do that. So just wait on it, because it's superb. But yeah, there's that part where they can't get into a door, and he was like, I got this, because he's known for like breaking and entering or like stealing or whatever. And he takes the bobby pin. Yeah. He takes the bobby pin, and not only does he smell it, but he licks it. And I don't know why that sent me. Like, I watched that scene twice because it made me laugh so hard about how I want to know if that was ad-lib. I feel like
I reckon it was.
Yeah.
I think it was too. Yeah. It felt like that.
Yeah. Like they were like, just take the bobby pin and open the door. And he just took it to the next level, like best acting award for you, because that was amazing.
He's so cute. And then, as you said, they alluded to potentially a love story, right, with him?
Yes, they did. So at the end, we see him visiting Oh Hae-young in prison. She had to go to prison for her dirty deeds, which was well deserved. And he's taking her things like long underwear and snacks. And it's really sweet, because they had like some interaction before that point, where he was like trying to protect her, like trying to like help her or like be her friend. But you can tell like he has a long road ahead of him if he's going to steal her heart, because she's very much like, I told you you didn't have to come. I told you you didn't have to visit me. And he's like, why would I not? Of course I'm going to visit you. And I'm like, oh, this poor man. Like, I love him so much. Like, I think with his charms, he will wear her down. And in some alternate universe, once she gets out, he's going to bring her to the village, and they're just going to farm. And it'll be fine. They're going to live a life, and it'll be fine.
So cute. So, do you think this drama stuck its landing? And how did you feel about the last episode? Were you satisfied?
So they wrapped this drama really quick. We kind of talked about that, like 14 episodes. Not to drag it out, because I wouldn't want them to drag out, like you said, like with the villagers or with like side stories. But I really thought this was a 16 episode drama. When I found out it was 14, I was like, there's no way they're going to wrap this up. And they did, but they did it really quickly. And most people would have a lot of questions. I'm a sucker for an HEA. And so in that sense, I am satisfied, because we get an HEA. But in order to have that HEA, I did have to let go of reality for this drama, because there's just no way that all of this could happen in this very small timeline. They wrap up the court case against the two baddies. They clear Kang Ho of any wrongdoing, which he didn't really do anything bad, but he was involved in some shady dealings. And so I feel like anyone with like discerning taste would say this is not great. This wasn't a great wrap up. But I'm not one of those people, and I like HEAs, and we ended on an HEA, and so that's why I'm here, because I'm a sucker for HEAs, you guys, and it had an HEA, and this is not a drama I will probably go back and rewatch. I have some dramas that I love that I will go back and rewatch because of the way they make me feel, or how the happiness they bring me, and all of that. This probably isn't one of those. Like, if I catch a clip on Instagram that makes me laugh or brings me good feeling, like, of course, yes, I will love that. But this isn't one that I'm going to go back and watch a million times. But I'm not going to say it stuck the landing, but I'm going to say it served its purpose.
Yeah.
That's what I'll say about
I think
this
they
drama.
wrapped up the court. I mean, they did it in a very K-drama way. Probably, like, anybody who's actually a lawyer would just be like, this is fucking ridiculous. Like, nobody was going to be in a court like that.
Yeah,
exactly. But for
sure.
me, that was fine. I'm like, it wasn't the core focus of the drama. You wrapped it up. The villains got shown up. You did it in a really clever way. Kang Ho got to be all like, prosecutor guy again. So that was all fine. I think the love story with him and Miju wrapped up really well. And we said about the twins. So I think for me, the main thing is going back to the mother arc. Like, I just feel, again, I mean, they've really piled it on, like, she's an orphan, so they pile on the backstory, how she like got left behind. This is the reason why she behaves like this. Then she got widowed, and this is the reason she behaves like this. Then she got terminal cancer, so this is the reason she behaves like this. And it's all just like, you could just have done without so many excuses for the reasons she behaved like this. Like, you could have just had a simplified arc and just saying there were real consequences to her behavior. And I think there were some nice scenes where they kind of, like, he discovered that actually she hadn't thrown away the art. The art is in a box, like, hidden away. And so there were other things, but I think I would have liked more flashbacks where there's more good. Like, there were actually some good memories for him. But then he's written this letter, and where he says that the only warmth was Miju in his life. And then I feel like the drama just kind of whitewashes it all away with this like voiceover letter that she's reads out. And it's all just, so basically then I get to the end, I just feel like it's being really manipulative, like, of me and my emotions. I feel like it's trying to elicit crying and tears from me. And then I'm at that point where I'm just like, I'm checking out, because I feel like you're kind of trying to make me cry. And so, like, I didn't cry. I liked the ending, but I didn't cry. And that specifically, that arc was just difficult for me. And then the villagers, and like, oh, I was just very over them by that point.
And yes, I don't disagree with any of that. I'm glad that I watched it, but like I said, it's probably not one that I would watch again. And you're right. I have watched enough K-drama to know that most main characters in a K-drama have some type of traumatic past, right? Like, we just get that established. Like, everybody has something. They're either orphaned because their parent left, or their parent died, or their husband died, or a child died. Like, there's always something. Right. White truck of death has come. Like, there's always a traumatic backstory, and I expect that. But the mother in this had 3 traumatic backstories. 4 if you add in the fact that her son lost his memories and she had to help him rehab himself back into, being a whole person, like being a new able-bodied person. And that's not to take anything away from people that are not, that are in a wheelchair, but the main focus of this was for her to get him rehabbed so he could like take over the pig farm, which also kind of didn't make sense because he had a 7-year-old mind. Do you know what I mean? So it was like so much pressure. And I feel like even then, like, we're still talking about the abuse at her hand. You know what I mean? Because she's like pushing. So I don't disagree with you about that at all. And there were a lot of things like did we let her off easy? Yeah, we kind of did. Like, this drama did kind of let her off easy. And I will say at the end of it, there's a scene at her funeral where they play this song that I guess was like her favorite song.
Yeah, the happy song.
Yeah. And everybody dances, like the villagers and the twins, and like everybody's dancing. And that made me tear up, but it was mostly for Kang Ho. I was tearing up for him because that like this is now he's the orphan, right? So like to me it was almost hopeful, like he is going to erase all that generational trauma because now he is going to have a wife and he is going to have his 2 kids and they are going to have the happy pig farm, right? So to me that was almost like a hopeful nod to like the future. But I'm not going to say this drama was a hot mess. I will say there are a lot of moving parts. So enter at your own risk.
Yeah, I think that's a good summary. I mean, I think just to get one more thing off my chest, I think I would have rather she didn't die. Like, I don't think she needed to have terminal cancer. I mean, she could have had just regular cancer that then she had, like, could chemo kind of get over, but like, and learn all the lessons, because that was the thing, right? It was a plot device for her to realize, because not only like her relationship with her son, but also her best friends in the village, right? So they had a little mini redemption arc between them. And I thought one of the really powerful scenes was when Miju's mum basically said, you know, you treated her like shit when she was a child, but she's my child too. You know, like, who were you to? Anyway, so there was that. And then I also found it annoying that she was so, you know, she once she realized the twins were her grandchildren, she was so nice to them. But I was like, all along, they have been your best friend's grandchildren that she's been looking after single-handedly for 5 years or whatever. And you weren't really that nice to them. And then suddenly now what? You're blood related and you will be. Like, she just always ultimately was just, So I just.
And maybe that's a frustrating part because the writers never really gave us a reason why she was the way. I mean, they said these are the reasons she is the way that she is, but we never got the backstory, right? Like, we never got the only backstory of struggle we got is that she was raising her son on his own. And there have been a lot of K-drama parents that have raised their child on their own and they did not act like that.
No, they didn't have to resort to abuse. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like,
so I'd rather she just stayed alive and made up for it, like, with him, you know, like, just to slowly learn, because it doesn't need to be a crash bang like redemption. It could just be slowly, like, I'm just going to redeem myself by being a really great mom and a really great grandmom. And she didn't need to die.
Yeah, and a great mother-in-law, because you owe her a lot.
Oh yeah,
like,
for
you were horrible to Miju, and like for zero reasons. Like, you had no reason. Why? Because she loved your son. Like, that's rude. Like, you know. Yeah. So I don't disagree with you there. And like, I watched it. I enjoyed it. It was a good drama for me. But like, is it problematic? Yeah, that's okay. I watch a lot of problematic dramas. You guys have just wrapped F4. So, I mean, I will put myself out there and watch some not so safe stuff. And that's okay. Like,
fine. So what are you watching now?
I am watching King the Land, which I love.
It's trope filled.
It is. If you liked Business Proposal, you will love King the Land. That's all I'm going to say. If you loved Business Proposal, King the Land is for you.
Yeah.
And I'm watching In My 19th Life. Is that what it's called?
See You in My 19th Life. Yes.
See You in My 19th Life. And that is also.
I'm loving See You in My 19th Life.
Amazing.
I love it.
And Boyan, like, just for no other reason than just to watch him in a drama, watch it.
I know. Well, this is the thing, right? So I messaged Megan and I said, so I'm having moments. I'm watching Lee Doh Hyun. I'm having moments, and I've watched him before, right? This is not my first ABH drama, but I'm having moments and See You in My 19th Life, and I'm beginning to think, Megan, maybe you're right. She's like, I was always right, and then she was like, I am the conductor of the Lee Doh Hyun train. Like, come on,
she really is.
Like, get on board.
Did you ever watch Yumi Cells?
No, I haven't.
Okay,
I haven't.
So, real quick. I know I'm probably taking up too much time, but the first thing I ever saw him in was oh my gosh, why can't I remember? Park Seo-joon's
801 class.
801 class.
Yes.
801 class. So the first thing I ever saw ABH in was 801 class, and I hated him. Like, hated him. And I was like, I will never watch another drama that he was in. And so the Noonas were talking about Her Private Life, and they're like, oh yeah, he was. And I was like, I will never watch that. I don't care how cute he is. I will never like him ever. He was horrible. I hated him, whatever. And then there was like this big push for Yumi Cells, and I was like, okay, fine, I'll watch it. And then I was like, I was so wrong about him. He is adorable. He is just a buttered bun of adorableness. All of it. I want all of it. And he is so cute in Yumi Cells 1 and 2. It's almost heartbreaking. And so I was ready for this. Like, they were selling this with him, and I haven't really seen any. I finally watched Her Private Life, but I haven't really seen anything else that he's been in. But he is, he just plays like hurt Chable really well.
Yeah, he's like a walking wound, like literally a walking wound. And I'm just like, do you need a Band-Aid? I know, exactly. I was like, let me hold you, let me hug you, and then when I'm not hugging you, when I'm not hugging you, I'll just watch you swish around in that. He's got a great wardrobe in See You in My 9th Life. I'm like, kudos. There must be a lot of designer like outfits he's wearing, because he just wears them so well, right? He's just like, he just, I don't even know. She's right. She's always been right. Like, I'm not, even in Itaewon Class, it's not that he wasn't attractive. He's just a horrible character. And like, kudos to the writers that made, and him to be able to act that role and make someone be like, I'll never watch another drama that you're in because you're horrible. But he's not. He's fantastic. And See You in My 19th Life, like, just the whole idea of the story and how it's unfolding. The acting is great. It has one of my favorite ajumas ever in it. She was the court maid. Yes. Yeah. And they're reunited. Like, they are. Mama. They're reunited. I love their scenes. I just love that she calls him Samchon all the time, which is great. Like, they just didn't break that. This isn't a spoiler, but See You in My 19th Life is obviously about someone who remembers all their past lives. And for these two characters, they were uncle and niece, and she calls her Samchon, which is hysterical because people are like, what? Why do you call her that? Like, that is not her name. And they're like, oh, we're just old friends. It's so great. It's so cute. Yeah, I'm loving that one. Yeah, I think Megan and Amy are watching it now, like Dropping Live, so I'm sure we'll have a deep dive on it when it wraps. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, I can't wait. So on that note, it's been great fun, Megan. Yeah, Sarah, I love this. Thank you for asking me. Thank you for inviting me. And thanks to Noonas for allowing us to crash your pod. Yes, thank you for letting us crash the pod. Hopefully we'll be asked back. I know. We're just gonna go slink back to our own pods and told to stay in our lane. No, we've got to write to Megan. You guys, Vincenzo fans, you got to go and bug Megan to watch Vincenzo, and then we'll be back for a deep dive with her. Yes. Because I don't think Leah is like, just there's no like, I'm not gonna stop. I actually think Amy might like it, but I think she's got such a busy schedule. So like, Megan was like, I think Megan is the one that's going to be able to do this. I agree. Yeah. Cool. Right. Well, so it was great speaking to you, and I hope you guys enjoyed the pod. All right. Yay, yes. Till next time. Annyeong. 감사합니다. Thank you for listening to Afternoona Delight. Where can you find us outside the pod? Head on over to afternoonadelight.com. That's AFTERNOONADELIGHT.com. You'll find links to all our social media, our book recs, K-pop and K-skincare recs, and if you want even more Afternoona Delight, because really who doesn't, you can join our Patreon, where you can choose the patron level that's right for you. Join in daily K-drama conversations, listen to bonus podcast episodes just for patrons, and participate in our monthly live K-drama support group via Zoom. We can't wait for you to be a part of the community. Until next time, annyeong!